first, I just want to say, in the studies performed by David Sinclair, which, by the way, his studies were purchased for $750 million by the huge pharmaceutical company SmithGlaxoKline, and they just bought the studies, but they tested every which way on different animals. They tested rats, yeast, mice, rabbits, rhesus monkeys, and the particular study that I really like is the fact that they gave rats a regular diet, lots and lots of rats. When they reached adulthood for a rat, when they reached full maturity and full development, they started to supplement half of those rats with resveratrol, but still kept the other rats on a regular, good, healthy diet. The rats on the regular, good, healthy diet, when they died, they dissected them, inspected the hearts and the organs and the arteries, and these rats had basic aging symptoms. They had discoloration, limp membrane wall, they had poor heart health, they had plaque buildup and calcification in the arteries, and it was just obvious that it was time for them to go, the way that the organs looked. On the rats that had the regular diet plus the resveratrol supplement, and remember, they only started the supplementation of resveratrol after reaching adulthood. They found that, number one, they turned on the sirtuin genes. At adulthood, when you reach full maturity, for humans, about at the average age of 25, your sirtuin genes literally shut off like a light switch. Basically, after you're fully developed, you start to age. For the rest of your life, after that development of the first 25 years, you're on a downward plane from here on out. And so they found that these sirtuin genes, not only are they anti-aging genes and they're survival genes, but they start fighting for life. And they discovered that resveratrol literally turns those genes back on just like the light switch. They turn them right back on. And it doesn't matter if you're 35, 65, or 95 years old, it's been clinically proven to turn those genes back on. And by turning those genes back on, it does a lot of wonders for the organs. And when the rats died that were on the resveratrol supplemented diet, they found when they dissected them that they were absolutely in pristine condition, their organs. The hearts were in pristine condition. No visceral fat, which is the dangerous fat around the organs. No plaque and calcification buildup in the arteries. Just tons and tons of things that they found. In fact, in most instances, they couldn't figure out what made the thing die in the first place. In fact, I forgot to mention that these rats lived 30% longer or more than the rats without the resveratrol supplement to their diet. So 30% longer lifespan and much, much healthier as well. So, Bill, do you want to talk about the heart a little bit and your personal experience?
I've been following the developments in resveratrol since Dr. Sinclair made his studies public, and he was featured on Nightline in 60 Minutes in 2020, and his protege, Dr. Oz, would often speak about his findings in resveratrol on the Oprah Winfrey Show. I mean, all you have to do, really, you go to YouTube, and in the search box, just type, resveratrol, and you'll see all these videos coming up. And what happened was all these nutritional companies that jumped on the bandwagon started making resveratrol supplements, and I was trying one after the other, and using the blood test results from the blood test I had to get 3 times a year for the medication I was on as a measuring stick to gauge the effectiveness of all these other products. And I'd be honest with you, I wasn't seeing any results at all. And it wasn't until I actually got on the phone with Steve. The very first time we connected was someone just tipped me off to this company, and I Googled it, and I got a phone number, and I called, and I said, I'd like to speak to somebody, and they put me on the phone with Steve. And on a 2-hour phone conversation, when he explained to me what made the big difference between all the other resveratrol products and Sisel's resveratrol product, how Tom started out by purchasing every other product out there and literally taking them apart and finding out that by the time they got to the end consumer, they lost upwards of 98% of their potency. And they found out why, and they developed a special patented process for manufacturing of the most exclusive resveratrol product, the most potent and bioavailable resveratrol supplement ever made. And at the end of the call, I said, Steve, I got to get my hands on this product. And he got me connected with the company, and I got the product ordered. I was on it for 6 weeks, and I was feeling I can't describe how good I was feeling other than I felt lively on my toes, and I actually started sprinting up and down the stairs in our 2-level home. And this is a person who 3 months earlier, in May of 2009, come out of the hospital and having had my 4th coronary angioplasty, had the 6th stent implanted in my heart, and I was activity restricted to doing no more activity other than normal walking speed. And here I am, sprinting up and down the stairs, and my wife and my kids tell me, take it easy, you're going to hurt yourself. And so 6 weeks, I go to the doctor's office for one of my regular scheduled 3 times a year blood tests. They take 3 chest tubes of blood, and then a week or 2 after that, I go back for a checkup. And my doctor who walked into the office, I used to call him Dr. Stoneface because this man would never smile. In the 22 years I was under his care, well, he walks in that day with the biggest smile I ever saw on his face, and he said to me, "Have I got some incredible news for you?" And he sat down. He said, "I checked your medical history. In 30 years, we just recorded the lowest cholesterol and triglyceride levels we've ever in 30 years." And he opened up the blood test, and he showed me the results. And there I had laboratory proof, not, subjective, I feel great and this and that. We're talking about a laboratory report on 43 different parameters. And he said, "Look at this." He said, "How did you get your cholesterol and triglycerides down to, the 150s? The lowest we could ever do it with medication was around the 200s for the cholesterol and the 300s for the triglycerides. How'd you get them both down to 150? And I asked him a question, "Have you ever heard of resveratrol?" He said, "Yes." And I told him about the product. And he said, "Take a look at this." He says, 42 parameters. Everyone has a high and a low, and you're right down the middle on all of them. He said, "This is like the most perfect blood test I've ever seen." And so I had laboratory proof that something dramatic had taken place in my body, and that led to, when that report got to my cardiologist, I asked her if she didn't, she was amazed. Both my primary health care physician and my cardiologist were completely amazed with this turnaround in my health. So I asked my cardiologist, "Do you think I'm healthy enough to go back to flying airplanes? I have lost my third-class medical certificate because of my heart trouble." She said, "I don't see any reason why not." And she wrote a letter to the FAA medical headquarters in Tulsa, and they responded back, with a stress test. If Mr. DeFalco can pass this test, we'll give him his medical back. They wanted to see if I could hit 5 miles an hour before I reached exhaustion. And they wanted to know exactly where I reached exhaustion. I got on a treadmill, and I hit 12 miles an hour, and I still hadn't reached exhaustion. I had a rock-solid EKG. I'm on my toes flying. And the cardiologist running the test said, "I'm stopping it right now before something breaks." He says, 12 miles an hour, that's it. Stop the test. So I never even peaked, and I was going at 12 miles an hour. And 3 months earlier, I couldn't even do anything more than walk. So there's no question about it that these products turned my life around. And that's another reason I'm going to the convention. I want to shake Tom Howard's hand and thank him for that. So with that, Steve, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Bill. I do know that resveratrol is a cell signaler, and it signals the cells how to operate correctly. And it just starts to get the body aligned, and it starts to actually, help everything start to function much, much better and higher efficiencies and things of this nature. Tremendous heart and organ health is what the resveratrol is responsible for, and dozens of other things as well. It's not just resveratrol. There's quercetin, catechins, and polyphenols in there, which all 4 of those ingredients together are like a symphony, whereas resveratrol is like a piano concert. It's by itself. But anyway, great comment, and thanks, Bill, for your addition, because I know, we have people that have had personal experiences with these products, and I'd just rather them tell you than me.
Just recently, I hit a new speed record on my treadmill over here. My wife came down to the exercise room on Saturday, and she said, "I smell rubber burning," and that's how hard it was going. How fast I was running. So the regenerative effect, where the studies in the animals showed that, for example, the mice had lost like 25% of their brain, and it regenerated. So you want that regeneration.
Just one other comment about Bill is with doctor's approval, he was taken off all medication, so he has no prescription drugs in his life anymore, whereas he had several before.
Yeah, we did that gradually over a year's time because, when you're playing with your heart, you don't want to just go cold turkey on the medication. So my doctors didn't even want me to stop it, but they agreed to go along with my plan, so we gradually stepped it down, and we did a slow wean over a year's time, and we kept getting the blood levels checked, and we saw that everything stayed good. And after a year's time, we went down to 0. As we speak tonight, I'm 1 year and 7 months completely free of prescription medication. So thanks for reminding me about that point, Steve. Steve, I just want to make one comment about the caller we just mentioned about the diabetes. In Dr. Sinclair's studies in resveratrol, one of the things he did bring out in his findings was that resveratrol helps the body to properly utilize sugar. And high sugar in the body, or improper utilization of sugar, obviously can result in damaging the pancreas and causing diabetes. And in my case, sugar problems can be recognized by elevated triglycerides, because triglycerides are sugars. And that's the one thing my doctors had the toughest time getting down. And it plummeted when I got on the Eternity. So if you're going to take any one product, if you were limited, you say, okay, let me start with one product for sure. You want to get on the Eternity because you want to get that the resveratrol, the benefit of the resveratrol and the complementary ingredients that Tom has added to go along with it to make it more effective, to help your body to properly utilize sugar, and that would help that situation with diabetes, no question about it. In fact, there were a lot of findings in a study that led to suggestions that if people had a good amount of this resveratrol in their system on a regular basis, a lot of the diabetes can be prevented and even eliminated. So it's quite significant. But that's if there was any one product, for diabetics, I would say without question it would be the Eternity product.
I just want to talk about the French paradox, and that's where resveratrol was actually discovered. But the French actually eat worse than we do in America. They exercise less, they smoke more, they drink more alcohol. They live a much worse lifestyle health-wise than we do. But when measured on a medical standard across the Western civilized countries, they were right up at the top with the best health. In fact, they had less heart attacks, strokes, heart disease, less diabetes, less obesity, less overall cancer, and every disease from top to bottom than us in America. And they found the reason why was in their red wine that they average 9 glasses a day of drinking. They have resveratrol properties in that red wine. And there's a lot of issues and reasons why. That doesn't mean go out and start drinking red wine over here in the States because we don't have the resveratrol in there. They have the red wine in France is made with the muscadine grape. They ferment their red wine with the grape seeds and the grape skins left in the fermentation process, and resveratrol comes from the grape skin. And so there's a lot of different reasons and issues, and high-quality muscadine grapes. In fact, I have a friend that has a vineyard here in Utah, and he's a dentist, a very wealthy dentist, and he has a really nice vineyard, and he cannot grow the muscadine grape here. It won't take. And he's tried it. He's flown over to France and tried to get the grape plants over here, and he just can't succeed with it. But he's got about 45 to 50 different grape varieties here that do well, but the muscadine does not. So anyway, the point is that through the red wine, the resveratrol properties in the grape skin in their wine over there, they have health benefits from it. And so we're giving you a pure concentrated extract of resveratrol from the muscadine grape skin that is giving us these abilities to get ourselves back in shape and get healthy. And in our product, there's 450 milligrams of resveratrol, which is equal to that same amount in glasses of red wine. 450 glasses of red wine is what 450 milligrams, because in a glass of red wine in France, in the top highest quality red wine product you can get over there, in one glass of red wine you're going to get the equivalent of 1 milligram of high quality resveratrol in that drink. And so our product, a 3/4 ounce serving, will give you 450 milligrams, or equivalent to 450 glasses of red wine in France. So that's what we have found to be the optimum. We used to have a less amount in our product. It was 274 milligrams, but then with research and development, we increased it to 450. So that's just what I want to end with. Thanks for being on the call. Look forward to it next week. Thank you.